All right, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining in. Bit of a last minute live stream here. I thought I'd do one at the opposite end of the day. So it's daytime here. The sun is actually outside. It's amazing. Usually I try to do the night streams, but I figured I'd mix it up. Welcome everybody. Firstly, thank you for all the support on the channel. Appreciate it. If you have any questions for the live stream, let us know. I'll talk a little bit about the Super-Reverb as well. My thoughts about it, after the fact. If anyone has any questions about any of the gear, just let us know. Gary, welcome. Who's first in the chat here? We got Cowhide Music. Live stream and it's not 5:30 a.m. here. Yeah, that's right. I always try to mix it up. I don't always do that very well, but I do try. All right, Ridiculous Wonk is here. iGoob, welcome, welcome. We've got Michael here as well from Florida. Awesome stuff. One of my favorite places to go. I love Florida. I love the weather. And the laid-back vibe on the most part. Not everywhere's laid back, but on the most part. All right, welcome everybody. Let us know where you're from as well. We've got William from Seattle. Bloom Tick Blooms here. How you doing? Cool, cool, cool. John, how you doing, mate? All right, James from Charlotte, North Carolina. Awesome stuff. Never been there. Been to the airport, I think, in North Carolina, possibly. Or is it? Yeah, I think so. That's about it. All right, so we're going to basically take whatever questions you have, and I don't really do any sort of like pre-ramble with my live streams. I just go live and we sort of let the conversation go wherever it goes. So I'm always, I prefer to do it this way. I much prefer it. All right. We've got Jamal's here as well. Welcome, mate. All right. Nick says it's laid back as long as there's not a gator biting your butt. Absolutely. Joseph from Texas. Very cool. Jeff in Brisbane. Change Strangers from Lockdown Melbs. Yeah, I know, mate. What a disgrace, huh? It's terrible. Anyway, it is what it is. GTOWN Custom Amps is here. Awesome stuff. So if you missed the pedal video I just put up, go check it out. These pedals are insane. I'm just looking to see if I've actually got them out still, or if I put them somewhere else. Yeah, I may have put them somewhere else, but man, just unbelievable. Great build quality. They're like you pick up a brick and then you pick up a GTOWN Custom Amps pedal. They feel about the same. The enclosures are crazy good and the tones are great. So thanks again for sending them out. Hope you liked the video. All right, so JP Custom Guitar says, how good was the Super-Reverb Tone Master really? So all the Tone Master amps are really good. They're not exactly the same as the Valve amps in terms of how they handle pedals, but just as a straight up comparison video, like a audio comparison between both of them, they're basically indistinguishable with the exception of the Tone Masters have a far lower noise floor. So when you turn them on, you don't realize they're on. There's just none of that inherent sort of tube hiss going on in the background, right? So they've got that going for it, which makes for a better recording experience in some ways. Where I think that they do vary is when you push a clean boost through them. And I said this about the other Tone Master amps as well. They take overdrive pedals really well, but they do sound different, but not necessarily like worse. They just sound different with overdrive pedals going into them. So if you've got your pedal board set up for, say, like the tube version, then you go to play a Tone Master, you may have to just tweak the top end and the settings a little bit on the pedals. But overall, they're really good. The Super-Reverb's been my favorite amp since I've ever played one. Like, they're just the best clean Fender tone that for me, right? Like, the Twins are iconic, the Deluxe Reverbs are iconic, and it just comes down to personal choice. But the Super-Reverb's always been my favorite. There's something great about the way that amp feels to play and the sound and the spread of it, but it's heavy and it's awkward to get in and out of the car. So I think the trade-off with the Tone Master stuff is they're far lighter at the expense of it maybe sounding slightly different with your effects pedals. But, some people don't like to use effects pedals, and if that's you, if you just want to turn it up and crank it, you can get that out of it as well. So they've done a really good job with it. I think out of all of them, I like the fact they've got like the real deal Jensens in the back of them. It sort of helps contribute to the tone. They could have taken the other route and put lighter weight speakers in there, but I'm glad they didn't, because the amp's pretty light already. So I really enjoyed playing it. I actually asked what the damage is, because I never check the price of this stuff in Australia. I just borrow stuff a lot of the time and link everywhere in the description, because I feel like everyone lives in different places. So I'm going to find out what they're actually worth here, because I still haven't seen the actual price of them yet. They're pretty cool. They're pretty cool. And at the end of that video too, I also gave you a list of the things that you need to take into account, as well as a lot of the frequently asked questions I knew I'd get. So, all right. Welcome everybody. We've got Brett from Tennessee, he's a fellow lefty guitarist. Awesome stuff. Steve says, been digging your show for a few years now. Best there is on the net. Hey, thanks, man. Far out. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really trying at the moment to, well, I'm always trying to put good content out, but I'm making an extra effort at the moment. I feel like, yeah, like the stuff I'm reviewing has been great as well. Like it's more enjoyable for me if the stuff is really good, and that basically everything I've tested in the last few weeks I've really enjoyed using. All right, we've got best tube amp for home use, not a Vox AC15, they're way too loud, or a Blues Junior. I would go for a Bugera V5 or a Marshall DSL5 CR. Marshall would be my choice. I think that amp sounds great. The Bugeras are good, but they're not as good as the Marshall in my opinion. I used to own the Bugera. Yeah, check out a Marshall DSL5 CR. I recently put a video up about it. The thing kills. It's really, really good. Hey, Sonia's here. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. Any tips on using a tremolo pedal that sucks the volume like minus 1 dB? Yeah, buy Boss one if you don't like it sounding good. I say that because I've said this before, like if your volume's here, Boss tremolos do this, right? They duck the volume, which I can't stand. A good tremolo should do this. I actually like it going louder. I hate having my perceived volume drop when I click on an effects pedal. But I would find one with a volume control. That's as simple as it is, unless you want one that's sort of like affordable. The Boss ones will duck your volume, probably perceived to be about 1 or 2 dB because of that, sweep under your volume. So there's that way around it as well. But yeah, I find like the only type of tremolo pedals that sound great to my ear are the ones that you can make either unity or louder than your volume and have that, what do you call it, the waveform or the sweep go above and below. Brett says, I'm in Melbourne. Would you consider doing lessons? Nah, not really, man. I don't enjoy doing lessons at all. It's not something that I've ever enjoyed doing. I don't really explain the fretboard very well. So, yeah, no, it's not something I ever want to get involved in. I try to only do stuff these days that I really enjoy, and lessons is probably like low on the list of things I don't know. I've tried it before. I just don't enjoy it personally, and I find it kind of frustrating as well. Ridiculous Wong says, are clean boost pedals the only pedals that Tone Master struggle to handle? Yeah, I would say that's probably true. The difference is, right, like if you've got the amp clean, you click a treble boost on say a tube amp, you can push it over the edge of breakup, where it doesn't really work the same way on a digital amp because it's set kind of like to break up at a certain point. It does do it to some extent, but it doesn't sound pleasing. But then you throw like a tube screamer into it and it sounds great. So if you've got a pedal that has a little bit of gain, or you've already got the amp dirty, then it might work better with a clean boost. But I always found, like, if you're running a tube screamer, for example, and then a clean boost into the tube screamer and then into the amp, it's going to sound fine. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's a bit strange unless you hear it when you compare it to an actual valve version. Because I played with a Super-Reverb for years. It was just such a great tone, and I don't know how many people really use clean boosts on their own anymore, unless you've got an already like overdriven channel on your amplifier, like something like a Marshall or whatever. So yeah, I just feel like the clean boosts aren't pleasing to the ear when you compare it to the original. With the rest of them though, I mean, there's plenty of people with Tone Master amps, and after checking them all out, I kind of feel like that's about the only trade-off. You're getting a really lightweight amp as well. Twin for the win. Yeah, well, this is the thing, right? Like, everyone likes different... The Twin's like the iconic, big, clean, doesn't really break up kind of tone. You can get the Tone Masters there thanks to that power attenuation thing, but yeah, Twins are designed to stay big and clean, and it's just a different voicing, right? What about Supros? Yeah, I won't buy a Supro amp. They're just too heavy. I love the sound of the Rhythm Master, and there's a 2x10 one that I really like as well. What's it called? The Royal Reverb. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'll ever buy one. I think the difference between what I have now and buying a Supro is minimal. It's just more money going out. I bought the Pearl OD5 and the Yamaha OD10 Mark II. Thanks for your vids. Hey, no worries, man. Cool. Thanks, Chris. Very cool. William says he bought the Mustang GTX 100. It's great. Well, that's it, right? Like, it's all up to what works for you. I always get these questions like, is this better than this or what? And it's like, well, what's best for your situation is the one to pick. So, yeah. Was it air? Well, yeah, there you go. Yeah, chat just flew down. Sorry, let me just scroll back up here. Oh, where was I at? Dennis, thank you, mate. Oh, where was I? Sorry. Oh, what amps do I have in my collection? I've got a Marshall DSL 40CR, the Fender Blues Deluxe. It's still going strong after all these years. Never had to do anything to that amp other than replace the handle that broke the day I bought it. And the Artist Tweed Tone. That's it. I'm a 3 amp man. Oh, minus, I got a couple of little practice amps as well, but they're the 3 loud ones. I like that you're doing the stream at this time. It's easier on you, so you don't have to stay up late. Yeah, thanks. I thought I'd give it a shot. You know, it's time to hit some caffeine here, and we'll be good to go for a while. Do you polish your frets? If so, what's your method for getting them gleaming like a mirror? I don't do it at all. Look, sometimes I'll spray some sort of fretboard. I've had it for like 20 years or something. Since I first started playing guitar, I bought like a thing of like this pump spray that I think it's, what is it? Diodario maybe, like a fretboard cleaner. Sometimes I'll just wipe that on it, but I do it so infrequently. Like, I'm sure there's, most of the guitars I have in there, I think the 52 Tally is probably the only one out of all those guitars, the old guitar, that I've actually used that spray on. They don't get that dirty for me, but if I do need to clean it, you can usually just wipe it off. You don't really need anything in particular. You know, when people talk about, fretboard conditioners and all this kind of stuff, unless there's a serious issue with it, I wouldn't bother with any of that stuff. But yeah, I'm not like fussy like that with my guitars. I don't need them to be gleamingly clean. My only pet peeve with a Strat is how much dust can collect under the strings on the plastic. It's like a magnet for dust, the static electricity there. So yeah, I don't often like clean my frets at all. I haven't done it on my Strat, the Flying V, any of the Gibson, the Tokai probably hasn't been done. So yeah. Robert says, I love your vids. I own a Garnet Pro 600 Canadian amp. Okay, cool. I've never heard of that before. The only Canadian amps I know were Trainor, which have sort of fallen off the map here in Australia. So my first proper amp was a Yorkville Trainor YCV40. Bloody great amp, I tell you. Hey, we've got a couple of noodles here. Welcome from Santa Barbara. Is that where what was that movie, The Lost Boys? Is that where that was filmed? Santa Barbara? Pretty sure it could be. Anyway, tried the Dan Electro Spring King pedal. No, I haven't. You know, interestingly enough, I gave some feedback to Dan Electro because I always like to let companies know the stuff I've encountered that I like or don't like about stuff. And as soon as you mention anything that you're not a huge fan of, they just like cut you off. So no, I haven't tried any of their new stuff for a long time. So I don't know what their story is, but yeah, it's like there was a problem with one of their pickups where if you ran too much gain, it would squeal instantly. And I asked a few of the other YouTubers, like, have you tried this in an amp or are you using IRs? I said, I'll try it in an amp. Boop, did it for them too. So I gave them this feedback. I said, these pickups need to be fixed. Like, it's something I was unaware of, basically. And that was it. It's like, they didn't really reach out to me after that. So anyway, no, I haven't tried it is the short answer. Squier Classic Vibe, Esquire, 50s Tele or 60s Tele. I have to decide. Well, the Esquire would be cool, but if you're just getting into playing, I would say get a guitar with 2 pickups. You'll enjoy having a neck pickup. That would be my suggestion. And Esquire is a real niche kind of guitar. You can get different tones out of them, but they're not for everybody. And you might wish you had a neck pickup. And then sometimes if you haven't got your tone completely dialed in, the people listening might appreciate it as well. There's something nice about a good Tele neck pickup. As much as I love Esquires. Daniel Sands says, love your playing, mate. Looking to push my lead work to the next level. Any tips? Yeah, find someone that you can listen to that you really love listening to. Like for me, I found Chris Kane way too late. He's just so good. And that sort of got me back into playing or wanting to learn more after, listening to all the traditional blues guys. Like my playing's kind of changed over the last couple of years slightly. Like I'm way less just straight blues pentatonic now than I've ever been. Not that I play out of the box, but it's just less minor pentatonic. I'll just put it that way. I play a lot of major stuff, and a lot of the influences from Chris Kane, like I can't play like him, but there's bits that I've ripped off, and it completely changes the dynamic. So just learn little phrases until you've got the muscle memory down, and work on that, because that'll. Yeah, you gotta hear and listen to different things. Otherwise, you're not going to sort of get out of habits, or your ear's always going to be tuned for certain things. I wish I had done that sooner. I'll scroll back up in just a sec. Buzz Wilson, thank you, man. First stream I've been able to catch in months. A little for the Pepsi fun. Thanks, Buzz. There you go, mate. I just put it through the vending machine and we're ready to go. So I'm all stocked up with caffeine right now. I had a late night last night. I was working on some stuff, but I got enough caffeine here to get me through. So thank you, Buzz. Appreciate it. Cheers. All right, let me scroll back up. Thanks again, mate. I always appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Here's some. Sonia says, "Welcome everyone. Please be sure to hit that like button. Would appreciate that. Thank you. Appreciate that, Sonia." Mark Tanner's here. Welcome, mate. Narbonne Guitars. Narbonne, maybe. Sorry. Alnico Gold in a Princeton 68. Yay or nay? Well, I mean, they're great speakers. I don't know anyone who doesn't like those speakers. The 68, right, has a 10-inch speaker. So, yeah. I haven't tried that exact combination before, like with a 68, so I'm not too sure, but I would say that that speaker would work great in Princeton, knowing what I know about speakers and Princeton amps. But yeah, try and listen to as many videos as you can and find one that really works for the sound you're going for, because it's easy to say, yeah, it'll work, but you've got to know the sound you're looking for as well. These are all parts of it. And what you don't like about the built-in speaker. Let me scroll down. I don't know how you say your name, man. RS2KR says, given the choice between the Deluxe, Twin, and Super Tone Master amps, which one would you take? I know this is just going to sound like because I've just tried it recently, but the Super-Reverb's been my personal favorite amp forever. So it's since I first played one, I realized like these are so good. I kind of wish I had have sold mine. I hadn't have sold mine, But one of my good friends owns it. And I said, if you ever sell it, I'm buying it back, right? So he knows, like, I'll get it back at some point if he ever gets sick of it. But so it just comes down to that. A lot of people like deluxe reverbs or twins. So, like, which suits your ear the best? But being someone who plays live, well, when we can, I prefer an amp that has a little bit more oomph. I like the twin because of what it can do, but I like the Super Reverb more for my kind of sound. So I would take the Super Reverb just based on my experience with it. And there's a lot of vibe in that amp. I really like it. It's funny because I kind of dismissed the Deluxe Reverb for a long time. And then when I compared it up against the Twin, I went, okay, this is actually really good. It feels different to play to a Twin. It's got, a different sound. And yeah, it all comes down to what do you need, right? If you're playing at home, on the most part, just get the Deluxe or the Twin. Or it doesn't really matter because you can turn them all down. Floor space is another consideration for people too. Not everyone wants a huge amp sitting in the corner of the room. There's nowhere to put amps unless you've got a basement or something, right? They're always out, or they maybe can go in a cupboard, but not always either, right? So, should I go for a True Tone CS7 or MXR ISO brick? When it comes to power supplies, man, I really feel like a lot of people spend way too much money for no return. Just get one of those little, what are they called? They used to be Visual Sound. They're called True Tone power spots. Now, I use 2 of those. That's it. That's my live rig. Here I've got a little Kalen power board, which is probably hooked up. Oh no. I use this for all the pedal demos. I've had this now for, I don't know, maybe 8 years or something like that. 6 years possibly. And this does have the other, outputs on it. But, if I've got a choice between taking this or taking a one spot portably, I'm not taking this anywhere. This thing's a beast. This was the thing that actually put a hole in my Telecaster. It swung off the desk here, and one of the corners just took a big chunk out of my guitar. But yeah, if you need something with lots of different outputs, get the smallest one you can, right? Like even this one I use a lot. This has all the different, I think it's got, 18 volt DC out as well. And the reason I keep these here is because some of the pedals have different input voltages, but all the stuff I play with live, I just run it off 9 volts. I really don't find there to be a huge difference between a one spot and these isolated power supplies. I really feel like they're a bit of a waste of money. But it's all subjective, right? Some people might go, oh, yeah, no, I need this because of these features. And then that's different. But if you run all 9 volt pedals, don't waste your money. Just get a one spot and some daisy chains and you'll be laughing. Anyway, let us know what you think of that in the comments, because I really feel like I've tried so many power supplies and I've never really had any that have had a huge problem. So Michael Hello's here, welcome man. He says sold Blues Deluxe reissue and bought a 65 Super Reverb. The Super Reverb was twice the price of the Blues Deluxe, but honestly not that much better. Blues Deluxe is so underrated. Thoughts? I totally agree. And that's why I ended up keeping my Blues Deluxe, and for its portability. I didn't think there was that much of a difference at gig volume when you're up loud, right? The Super Reverb is a beautiful sound. It does have more spread and all this kind of stuff, but you can get great tones out of a Blues Deluxe, and that's why it stayed around for years and years and years. If you go back to the start of my channel, you'll see a Blues Deluxe in the videos, like in the early days, right? I sold one that I had a greenback clone in, and then within about, I don't know how many months it was, I bought another one. I was like, why did I get rid of that? And I've had it ever since. So I think they're great amps, and they're plenty loud too. Heaps of headroom, great pedal platform. The drive channel kind of sucks, but otherwise, yeah, I love it with that Swamp Thing speaker. It is brutally loud. All right. Can you speak up? I can't hear you over my Twin on 4. Very cool, mate. Very cool. I learned this year I play really good wearing a mask. Yeah. How do I come up with some of those licks on your demos and intro jams? They blow me away. Hey, thanks, Ryan. So some of them, I try to play what fits the song. A lot of the time now I'm actually consciously thinking to myself, don't overplay. Especially at the start, it's really easy just to try to go crazy. So I'm pacing myself far better, and I think that's the only real difference in it is the awareness of pacing. And I'm also trying new stuff I'm hearing. Like sometimes I'll do something by accident. I'm like, oh, that actually sounds cool. So I'll obviously stop recording until I work out a part. I did that on the last video that went up. I played this real weird lick. It's not something I've put on any other video before it, but it worked. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. So yeah, just got to try to fit the mood of the song and not just revert to muscle memory, which I've been guilty of a lot. I feel like the parts I'm playing are sort of like syncopated with the timing of the song far better than they may have been a year ago. It's all learning, right? Like I'm always learning how to use what I've got and make it sound better. And a lot of that comes down to those little things like the finesse or the timing or the whatever else. So that's where I'm at now. I'm kind of really trying to push myself to play the best live parts for those tracks. That's my good practice. You know, if you've ever tracked anything before, then you'll know that process can be really challenging, and it is for me as well. And the more I do it, the easier it gets. Some days I'll get things done first or second take, which for me is pretty good. Then there's other times where I'm like, no, I've got this idea, let's work it out. And then I'll spend 40 minutes working out just a little solo, and not note for note, but just something that is different in there that I can recall. So that's kind of where I'm at now, just trying to polish I can't play fast, so I'm trying to just come up with more melodic lines and also, something that's just a little out of the box. And I'm challenging myself to do that more and more, and I feel like it's been good for me to, it's sort of, it's like motivational as well to do that, rather than just going. I could go through the motions every jam track that I put on the channel, but yeah, that mixed with trying to get it tidy, mixed with hopefully people are going to see this kind of attitude, it forces you to play better. It's like if you're recording an album, you give it to someone, you want it to be good, right? So I kind of treat the jam tracks a bit like that. I want them to be as good as I can get them on that particular moment of any day. So it's just how you come up with that is just by listening to a lot of people, and as you steal licks off people over time, you end up changing them to fit your own style, and I think that's what it is. Are you ever going to make a trip to Southpaw Guitars in Houston, Texas? Absolutely, Carson, totally. I had a trip booked there last year that obviously couldn't go, and we're unable to travel anywhere. That's the glorious place that I live right now. So as soon as I can get out of here, I'm going to get out of here, and that's one of the places I'm going to go. I've actually been chatting to the owner a bit over email over the last sort of 12 months. We were trying to line some stuff up. So yeah, hang in there. I'll definitely be going. Baked Alaska says, I'm thinking about selling my only Strat player series and buying a new PRS SE Custom 24. Is that a dumb move? Well, they're completely different guitars, right? So if you're not happy with the Strat and you want something that has more of a modern feel and more frets and that's easier to play inherently, then the Custom 24 is a no-brainer. Like, I love mine, but I don't think they're all the same. My suggestion would be, I got a video coming up about this. I've tried two, the new Indonesian ones. The first year they actually came out, they weren't very good. They didn't feel like a quality guitar. This year's guitars feel far better. Just see if you're buying it online, make sure it's not a painted neck. Just find one that's got like a higher gloss. Those ones feel so much better to play, and I don't know why. But yeah, the next video on the channel is literally a PRS SE Custom 24. So other than obviously this one. but they're just very different. If you want to have a guitar that, this is the great thing about the PRS guitars, right? Some people find them bland or they don't like the look, but those pickups are bright. They've got all the chirp that a Strat has, but without any buzz. You know, in humbucker mode, they sound so good, and they're very, very easy to play. Yeah, I was shocked how much I liked it. Like, I was keen to try one because I'd never tried an SE before, but PRS never made them in a lefty before a couple of years back. It's my go-to guitar because it's just easy. It really is easy to play. So I only think it's a dumb move if you love your Strat. If you love it, then I would say keep it. But if you don't love it, sell it and try something different. You know, the journey of trying to find a guitar you love, especially if you can only have like one guitar and you need to move something on. I've been there. I've done that for years as well. It's sort of like you get this, all right, it's not quite right, I'll try this. That's all part of the process. You might be the guitar after the PRS, or you'll stay with the PRS. You never know, right? So pick them up, play them, see how they feel in your hand, and see what inspiration they give you. Yeah, I love the PRS SE guitars, except for the first year they were made in Indonesia. Do you ever watch any other guitar YouTube dudes like Casino Guitars? Yeah, I watch their stuff. I don't watch all their videos. I'm a bit over, like, this probably sounds hypocritical now with this video, but just talking channels. There's so many guitar channels that just talk. I'm not interested in a lot of that, like video after video after video. Like, where's the guitar playing gone? And there's a lot of great guitarists, right, that are obviously on YouTube. They're phenomenal and they play a lot in their videos, but there's so many channels that don't anymore. It's like you're a guitar channel, man. I want to hear this thing. I don't want to talk about it. Like, play it. I want to hear it in context to music. I don't know, man. It's sort of like I've gone off a lot of channels, but there's sometimes I'll check in with channels and watch things. And I join a lot of live streams too, right? So you'll see me pop up on a lot of other channels. Sometimes when the live streams are on, I'm there and I'm listening and I'm doing other stuff in the house, but I got it cranked up. So yeah, I like the live streams. I like hearing great players. You know, like Robert Baker is a good example of that. I love hearing his jam tracks. Someone who, you know, puts a lot of effort in, but also makes it good. You know, like his playing's phenomenal. So I can't just sit through a 25-minute unboxing and you know, a deep dive on something that, if it doesn't interest me, I want to hear it. I don't care about the particulars. I always say, like, if you fuss too much over specs, you lose sight of the use of it, right? Same with, it could be anything. It could be camera equipment. It could be, you know, any piece of tech that like a camera is a great example. If you don't know what you're doing, or if you don't put it into practice, you'll never get great results out of it. And you could give a pro any camera and they're going to make it sort of shine, right? And that's same with Robert Baker. You give him any guitar, it's going to sound great. And I want to hear it. I want to hear at its potential, basically. Or any of these guys that do a lot of playing. I just don't want to sit through like loads of talking videos anymore. It just doesn't interest me. I know a lot of people love that, but yeah, there's just too much of that right now. Did I ever try the Spark amp? No, I didn't. I got offered to do that back when it first came out, but I don't sign like NDAs and all that. I just said, no, I'm not interested. Do you think the Blues Deluxe is a good upgrade if you're used to the feel of a Blues Junior? Would it be less dark sounding? Yeah, totally. The stock speaker in the Blues Junior is not the stock speaker in the Blues Deluxe isn't the best. It's a little on the bright side to my ear. The first thing I usually do is swap that out. And you can do that with your Blues Junior as well. You can swap the speaker and get a vastly different sound. So yeah, I would say it's a huge upgrade over a Blues Junior. But some people don't like the stock speaker, and I'm one of those guys. So yeah, I've got a Swamp Thing from Eminence in mine, and I love it. It's got all the great things about it that I like in Fender tones. I've done posts on like the best speakers for Blues Junior. If you Google that, you'll see my website come up, and also for the Blues Deluxe as well. Magic Spray Finger Ease. Yeah, I love that stuff, man. I got got lots of this stuff here. There's always like 3 or 4 bottles floating around. We got I'm not sure how to pronounce your name there, Richard, but your other name, but welcome. Windex. Yeah, don't go putting Windex on it. My friend did that. He put Windex on his Rosewood Strat and it puffed up on the fretboard. So, yeah, don't do that. If you have string sprays cause unpleasant squeaky noises for me. They shouldn't. That's the whole point of them, right? Like fingeries, if you spray enough of it and put it on your hands and then wipe it up and down, it takes out what they call the torque. That's what it's for. And I have to use that when I record. Otherwise, it's really annoying. You hear all these like weird, like almost harmonic overtones of squeak going on. It's, yeah, the fingeries is great. I have a feeling that's kind of why I don't have to clean the fretboards a lot on my guitar, because that stuff may be doing some of that for me. And I just thought of that now, actually. So Michael says, sold Blues Deluxe reissue and bought the 65 Super-Reverb. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I already read that one. Sorry. Let me scroll down here. Oh, the chat just went crazy. Oh, man. I'm sorry. The chat went back up and then it went back down. So let me start from the bottom. I'll work my way back up here. All right, we've got Rico B from Arizona. Any thoughts on the Vintera Tele with the soft V necks? You know, I haven't played a Vintera being a lefty, but I own a guitar with a soft V neck and it's my Strat and I love it. It's very comfortable. It's a good compromise between thickness and traditional kind of necks. I love the feel of it. So yeah, I would say it's going to feel great in hand. Hey, we got Texas Blues Alley's here. He's asking for Freebird. Let's do it. Let's do it, mate. Anytime. I tell you what, if we ever get a chance to jam together, mate, we'll go over all the cheesy classics. We'll put a video out about that. That'll be awesome. Well, the worst requested pub songs. Heavy Brett says the Spark amp is great and easy to use practice amp. Cool. Any experience with the 2020 Epiphone Les Paul Classic Worn series? No, I haven't tried those. I've tried all the other ones, but not that one. I did a couple of videos regarding Epiphone guitars recently, so if you go back, you'll find them pretty quickly. But they didn't have the worn ones in. Cup of Noodles says, in the blues, how do you approach composing? What parts come first? It's always an idea for me, like on guitar. Generally, like sometimes if I'm writing just for videos, or if I'm not writing, but if I'm coming up with a jam track, sometimes I'll just start with a really great beat and I'll play some bass until I get a basic sort of idea down, and then I'll just jam around with guitar and see if it feels any good. And other times I've already got a great idea, a good idea I should say, not great, but a good idea, decent idea enough for a video on guitar, so I'll just like play that to some drums and then I'll layer up the bass and see how it feels. It's always a feel thing at the end of the day, for especially doing videos for me. Like I have to be into the groove. So yeah, it's more about like the drums and bass feel, and then if that's good, it's easy. But if I'm actually writing a song, it could just be that I've got lyrics down, and then I have a concept in my head for the kind of sound that I want, and then it's about trying to blend the two. Other times I've just come up with chord progressions that I love, and I'm like, okay, so what lyrics can I put with this? And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work. Southern Glockstar says, I'm enjoying practicing through my PV Classic 30. Do you like practicing with tube amps? Yeah, for practice, man, I'll play through anything. I'm kind of lucky where I live, right? Like, I can make a bit of noise here, so it's cool. So I'll practice. I love using the 2 Notes Captor X. I'll have that going through my studio monitors if I don't want to blow my ears out. But I tell you what, having the amp in the room the other day and having it up loud was pretty good fun. I'll just try and, I'll even practice without any amps on electric guitar. I really feel like that helps you attack, and if you can make an electric guitar kind of sing without having to plug it in, it's a good way to practice. I just have a quick drink here. My throat's gone funny. Anthony, oh man, excuse me. Sorry about that. Anthony says, I thought Fender Strats were my favourite guitars until I picked up a Musicman Cutlass. They're beautiful guitars. I've never seen a lefty anywhere, but they're really nice. Man. Have I played the JTM 45? I have. Yeah, for me, it's not an amp that really suits my style. It's more like Dr. Rick's, like 80s cover band kind of tone. Yeah, I like listening to those amps, but it's not something that I personally like. Idaje says, Idige? I don't know how to pronounce your name, man. Sorry. I got to play a Strat mainly because at the shop they had plenty of them to compare, and I know mine is a good example. Oh, that's good. Jamal says, I'd love it if Fender could send you a Pro Reverb. Still on the fence. All right, so finally, I actually asked Fender, I said, is there any chance I can get my hands on one of these? I can't find one. I've had like 1 million requests. And they said, yes, there's 96 back orders, which doesn't sound good, but there is one coming on loan. I won't get to keep it, but that's fine. I don't care. But it is coming. So you're getting a shout out in that video, Jamal. It's coming at some point. So, yeah, it will be on the way. I don't know when, though, right? But it will show up at some point. Hey, Change Strangers, thank you, man. Always appreciate these chats. Grab yourself some lunch. Hey, thanks, mate. I'll do that after this. I'll go get something to eat. But yeah, thanks for the support, mate. Yeah, sometimes my throat just does that. I don't know what's going on. I think too much talking, not enough actual water would be the cause of it. But there's water in here, right? No blue V's today. Product placement monster. Yeah, damn straight. They pay me $1 million an episode, a live stream to showcase their drink. I wish. Texas Blues Alley says Musicman Cutlass in charcoal frost and roasted maple neck. I've joined roasted and maple together. Is one of my someday guitars. Yeah, they're beautiful. I did an episode of Guitar Search Saturdays in Germany at a place called Pro Music Tools. And my friend Dr. Rick had a chance to play a couple of those Musicman guitars, and they sound great. And one of them also the Cutlass had like I think an active single coil buzz eliminator built into it. It's pretty good. So, yeah, if you want to hear like Riviera Paradise kind of tones, have a listen to that, man. You'll love it. And guys, if you don't know Texas Blues Alley, go check out his channel. I've been subscribed to him for a long time. Guitar Everyone channel says, just joining in, are you buying the Tone Master Super-Reverb? Yeah, I've asked. I didn't think to check for the price when I did the video, but possibly. I'm going to see what kind of price I can get on one, and we'll see. It's a maybe. I kind of don't need it, so I'd be buying it just because I kind of want it. We'll see. I picked up a Blackstar HT20 used, good price, and a nice amp even for practice with earphones or at 2 watts. Well, I can turn it down to 2 watts. That's fantastic. Have you ever played a Xavier, is it? Is that what it's called? Guitar? No, I've never heard of them before. You look like a white Tom Morello. That's hilarious. I'm going to have to look up Tom Morello. The name sounds really familiar. I always laugh when people say this sort of stuff. Oh, he's cool. Oh, that guy. Yeah, he's a fantastic player. All right. Sorry, I couldn't remember who he was. Oh, well, thanks. I guess. I don't know. Thank you, GTOWN Custom Amps. Wow. Russian, I don't know what that stands for, RUB. I guess it's Russian something. I don't know, but thank you, mate. Far out. Appreciate it. Thanks. You didn't have to do that, mate. So I'm going to have to change my disclosure now on my pedal video. No. It's all good. Hey, thanks for the support, mate. I don't know what to say. Thank you. Wow. Sorry, the chat just... hang on. DSL 40CR attenuator recommendation. Well, I don't know. I haven't tried all of them, but the torpedo, what do you call it? Captor X works pretty well. Man, my throat's gone weird. Hang on a sec. There we go. I'm back. I'm good. Yeah, GTOWN Custom Amps. Thanks again, mate, and hope you enjoyed the video. Rage Against the Machine. Yeah, there you go. John says, however you say it, Xavier? Is it Xavier? Is that how you pronounce it? I guess that's how you pronounce it. Or Xavier or something. Is the GFS brand of guitars. Okay, cool. Yeah, Rage Against the Machine, man. I used to love their stuff. Still listen to it from time to time, but yeah, not as often anymore, but great band. Super cool sound too. Probably like arguably the pioneers of that kind of sound. Like I don't know anyone else around that same time who was doing that. Like a mix of like rock and hip hop, and it was super cool. S says, I bought a DSL 40CR because of you, Shane. Absolutely love it. Oh, that's great, man. Cool. Glad you're enjoying it. I love my amp. That Marshall's going nowhere. I'd love to see Texas Blues Alley Anthony grab, or as he used to be called, Stevie back in the day, playing through a Marshall DSL 40. Give it a go, mate. The CRs, the classic drive channel, no pedals required. Just beautiful. Hey, Mark Newcomb. Thank you, mate. He says, I live in Bush, New South Wales, have a Strat, Tally, Cole Clark, Schecter, and time for a Gibson. What first, SG or Les Paul? What's first, SG? Oh, sorry, what's first, SG or Les Paul? Got a mail order, a lefty. Recommendations in the best place to buy. Can't play first. Yeah, it sort of depends on your budget, man. I would say a Les Paul is probably a safer bet. This is just from my own experience. Not all SGs are kind of nice when you put them on. They're lighter. Some of them are really neck heavy. I prefer just to get one that sort of can either be played seated or standing without that sort of worry about it wanting to fall towards its headstock. And I also find, just from my own experience, and this will vary between player to player, that if you're playing an SG, it feels like you have to reach further to get back to like an open E chord, which means all your muscle memory is a bit shifted on an SG. Whereas on a Les Paul, I can go from a Les Paul to a Strat, and I don't think about it at all. There is a difference in the scale length and all that kind of stuff, but an SG always throws me. I would say go for a Les Paul. You can't go too far wrong, and then it comes down to how much you want to spend on one as well, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with like the tributes. The tribute I recently reviewed was fantastic. You know, I've got what do they call it? A special? I always get it confused. Yeah, the special, the TV yellow one is great as well. And all the 50s and 60s ones are great. So you can't go too far wrong with any of those, man. So, you know, in terms of where you should buy them from, there's so many great music shops. Where are you from? New South Wales. There's a couple of places. Sky Music, because, you know, they let me borrow stuff. I'll give them a shout out. I buy a lot of stuff from Better Music online as well. And I'm not associated with them. I just, when I need stuff and I can't find it locally, I buy from them. So see if they've got one. They've got really fast shipping as well. I'm just trying to think of where else I've bought stuff from. Yeah, I think in terms of their range, they would probably be the two shops that sort of stand out. You know, and they'll get back to you as well. They're quite good customer service wise. So, yeah, there you go. That would be my suggestions there. Thank you for the support. I appreciate it. And don't discount maybe some used guitar shops as well if you're looking for something, because you might find that the music swap shop has something that you've been looking for and it's far less expensive. And other times it's not. So weigh that up as well. But yeah, check out those two, Better Music and Sky Music. All right. Thank you again, Mark. Appreciate it. Anyone shopping for an attenuator should check out the Tone King Iron Man 2. Very cool. I don't know that one at all, so very cool. Thank you. Hey, Todd's here. Welcome, mate. Have you ever played a Supro amp? I have. I've got reviews of them on the channel. Type in Supro and In the Blues. It'll come up. I love them, minus their weight. I think they're too heavy. That's the deal breaker for me. The Royal Reverb and the Rhythm Master, as I said earlier in the stream, two of the best sounding amps I've ever played. They wipe the floor with most Fender amps that I love. Except you can't get them off the floor. They're way too heavy. And they're too expensive. I think they're overpriced when you could be spending far less on an amp. At least in Australia. It depends where you live, right? So sometimes we get stuff here and it's way more than it should be. For that kind of money, you could buy like a hand-wired amp almost. Yeah, so, yeah. Do I play any guitars made by Maton? I don't. I used to have an acoustic EM325, I think it was called, which was actually really good. I just stopped playing acoustic, so I sold it. I owned one of their electric guitars for about a month, and I sold it. That was the guitar that really changed me on a few things, especially fret size. And yeah, I didn't enjoy their single coil pickup tone whatsoever. So yeah, but no is the short answer. I find their electric guitars, with the exception of maybe some of their older stuff, they feel rushed. I don't mean they're like a poor quality control. It's like they could be nicer than they are. They're just like, yeah, I don't know. I don't like the way that they feel in my hand. And after buying one, I was pretty quickly disappointed with it. But their acoustics I really like. So, yeah. Am I a fan of the Marshall Silver Jubilees? And again, another amp that I don't know if I've played one myself, but when I've done so many Marshall videos with Rick over the years, or he's plugged into them, they sound great. He was so close to buying one. I think if you play like classic rock, you get a kick out of that. So, it's rubles. Thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate that. Cool. Orion2180 says, greetings from Chicago. Loved your video about the time playing here. What are your thoughts about the Gibson Firebirds? I think the Gibson Firebirds have a lot of vibe. I think they're pretty cool. They're not a guitar you see commonly anymore for whatever reason, but yeah, I think they look cool. I've never owned one, but I think the only one I played possibly was at Jerry's years ago. It might have been an Epiphone one actually, but yeah, I haven't had a lot of experience with them, to put it short, because yeah, it's not a guitar I've seen a lefty anywhere. But I dig the vibe. Hey, Daniel San 81, legend. Your videos have probably saved or cost me a small fortune. Hey, you're welcome, mate. Thank you. Thanks for the support. Far out. Well, all this stuff happens to me too, right? Like, I know I make videos about guitar stuff, but another one of my big passions is camera equipment and, you know, all the lenses and all this kind of stuff. I love tech. Not so much for the sake of just owning it to buy it, but like getting invested in something. Like I'm always trying to make the channel look better or sound better, so I'm learning about things that will benefit it that way. And one of those things is, yeah, camera equipment. And I'm not using it now, but I've just recently upgraded to another camera, and I can blame like 5 channels for that that I watch. So yeah, it happens to me too. And but then you find something you love, and you do your own research, and you come to your own conclusions, because you know not everyone who produces videos has the same opinion on anything. And I think it's always best to, if you can, ask 4 or 5 people to watch 5 or 6 or 10 videos and see if it's exactly what you want. Because one of the lenses I want to buy now, I've binged watched so many videos, so I feel very confident in knowing what I'm buying. I know all the pros and cons through a mix of videos. That should be always anyone's way of buying something. If you have to do it online, is to, you know, take the process out of just binge watching stuff and learn all about it. Any recommendations for ES style Semi-hollow body guitars. I mean, there's heaps of great ones, man. Like, how much do you want to spend, right? I've done a full video on the best ES335 alternatives. Just punch that in and it'll come straight up. That's the easiest answer. If you can't get like a Gibson or a higher end Tokai or something like that, or there's Eastman, there's plenty of great guitars. Even Epiphone, like their Dot 335s are fantastic. So thanks again, Daniel. I appreciate it, mate. Oh, GTOWN custom amps. Thanks. Far out, mate. You don't have to super chat me, but I appreciate it. Thank you. If you missed the video I did of the Dumble pedal, guys, go check it out. That was from GTOWN custom amps. Yeah, I didn't take payment to produce that video, other than obviously the pedal's coming from Russia. I get to keep it, but thank you, mate. You seriously appreciate it. Thank you. But yeah, those pedals are... Where are they? Yeah, I don't know. But they rock. It's funny, like I don't often get completely like blown away by pedals that much anymore. I've tried so many of them, and yeah, they definitely got that right. It's funny because after that video went up, I got contacted from a couple of other companies that make very similar pedals. like that. It happened almost instantly. So, yeah, I'm like, man, this one's pretty hard to beat. Have I played the Angelico guitars? No. Never seen a lefty, Ben, anywhere. Have I played a GTOWN? I've only seen lefty acoustics. I saw one lefty electric guitar in San Francisco like years and years ago, but I didn't know what it was. So they're pretty cool. Pretty cool. Have I reviewed the Artist Gold Top LP P90? I haven't, no, but there should be more of those guitars coming at the end of this month, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if that's one of them or not, but yeah, there are a few more on their way. Thanks again, GTOWN, and Daniel San, thank you. Hey, we've got Amanda's here as well, welcome. How are they handling the pandemic in your country? Can anyone do gigs? No, I would argue that the handling of it isn't the best in the world, but if you... Yeah, anyway, it's a whole other discussion, but no, there's nothing happening, and most people are locked in 5Ks from their house. Oh, sorry. I'm just going to scroll to the bottom here and work back up, because it's hard to find where I was once the chat moves. What do I think about the Squier Paranormal series? I think they look cool. Again, not a guitar series that I've played, but I don't know if I would buy one of those guitars, I'd probably buy something, because I'm pretty boring with what I like guitar-wise. I don't like anything too weird. So yeah, if you love the vibe and you want something different to what everyone else has, then it's a great option. But I don't think there's any issues with Squiers when it comes to like quality control and all that kind of stuff. Once you start talking about the stuff above their entry level, they're all pretty great. I bought Behringer MIC 2200 and MDX 2600 with Procaster after watching my other channel. That's cool, mate. Very cool. It's a great combination, good cost-effective way of getting like 2 channels, compression, limiter, all that kind of stuff. Very cool. Ibanez makes a ton of ES guitars. Yeah, they do. Yeah, absolutely. I had a Dot. Okay. Actually, I had a Dot back in the 2000s. It was a disappointment, but possibly a one-off because everyone else seems to like theirs. Yeah, I had one in late... I think my first good electric guitar was that, and that was like 1999 or 2000 as well. I played that to death. I played it all the time. And then I sold it to get a Strat, and then I went to buy another ES, a Dot from Epiphone. It wasn't the same, like the neck wasn't as big, and there were some differences with it, and I didn't end up keeping the second one. So yeah, maybe they hit a run of weird guitars, but the ones we got to test recently on the Keys to the Guitar Shop series was super cool. So Todd says, hey Shane, I'm getting a pedal Pan Texan twang pedal coming in the mail. Have you tried one? I've never heard of that before. Let me have a quick look here. No. It looks cool. I like the look of it. Wow, they're expensive. Holy crap. Mate, you're balling. $609. No, that can't be right. Really? Man. It's a lot of money. Hopefully it's great. No, I've never heard of it before, but very cool. It's lunchtime here in Australia. It is. We'll probably go for a little bit longer and then I'll go grab some food. Hey, John, thank you, man. He says, good day from Lithgow, mate. I'm starting up my own channel soon. How many cameras are you using for different angles? Also, do you pay to promote your videos? So, no. So, in terms of your first question, in terms of cameras, I do multi-camera shoots. I've got 4 that I use in this room, right? Or up to 4, I should say. I don't ever use any more than 4. That would be because I've got a side angle on my playing. I've got my main talking camera. And then I've got an unnecessary kind of one that is like a front camera that's zoomed in on my guitar playing as well, just to break up the visual. And then if I'm doing an amp video, there's usually a camera on that amp. So I've got 4. I know it sounds crazy, but I much prefer having the option to... Sometimes something doesn't work either, right? Like one of the camera angles might not be right. So I always like having an extra shot that I can call on, as well as it being visually a bit more interesting. I found just one camera is boring to watch, especially if it's something like a guitar video where you want to see it from different angles and you get a sense of what it looks like, you know, if you can't see it in person. So I use 4, up to 4 in this room. I actually have more cameras than that, but I've got 4. So do I pay to promote my videos? No. There's other companies that promote my videos on behalf of them. So the way it works is if a pedal company or an amp like what's it called? EHX, what do they call Electro-Harmonics? They about once every 2 years they promote my Klon versus Soul Food pedal video, and it gets so many views just like that. They're paying to promote it. I don't promote it. I have tried that before and I didn't really feel like it did anything. This was probably back in 2014. You've got to really have something that intrigues people if you're going to start to promote your videos, because you're paying people to see your videos. My suggestion is to make good content, and eventually it'll get found, and start somewhere. And you don't have to have 4 cameras either to get going. This has been built up over years, right? I don't go out and just buy 4 cameras. I buy one, I'll get a second one, and then I'll get ones that I know will work once I know what I like. So for this room, mostly I'm using Panasonic stuff, and now I've just moved over to Sony. But it doesn't really, like, it's not something that I just invest in straight away. Like, it's expensive stuff. So as I can justify it, that's when the upgrades take place, and that's when additional camera views come in. And there's plenty of successful channels who are using 1 camera. So if you're patient, you can move things around. I just prefer, like, I'll show you my other view. So this is what I see, right? Like my main, when I'm sitting here looking at myself now, like, so I know I'm in focus. I see it on this screen. I've got another, this is the second monitor that I've just put into place over here. And this allows me to see the secondary front angle, which is usually sitting on this desk. This is one of the cameras here. The other one that's usually in the middle is in another room. But yeah, my suggestion is, if you can, just start with whatever you can start with, and focus on the video being engaging and interesting or unique or whatever, right? Whatever the case is. Starting somewhere is always better than not starting. And then over time, build it up. Don't just go buy 4 or 5 cameras straight away, because yeah, I know so many people who have just gone all in with YouTube and it's not worked. So it's just a slow process unless you're doing something that is really unique, especially with guitar stuff. It's a little bit harder to get into, but yeah, just make good content, and Yeah, good luck with it. I hope it goes well. That's cool. But yeah, I wouldn't go promoting your video. I would just start with what you've got and then like do all the videos, borrow stuff off friends. This is how I started. All the stuff I was showcasing in the early days was stuff I bought and sold and borrowed off friends. And that went on for years. And thank you again, John. I appreciate it, mate. If you have any questions, just shoot me an email. I don't want to bore everybody with tech specs, but yeah, that's kind of it. Just use what you got. You know, there's successful channels who do in other niches who only use their phones. Phones can be far better in terms of just the video side of it. Make sure the audio is good is the main concern with a guitar channel. Make sure you get something that that really captures the audio. Don't just use your microphone on your phone. They're awful. Hey, we've got a new member here. Thank you. Who we got? Hank Johnson. Welcome, man. Hank. That's about the coolest name in the world. Thank you. Thanks for being a part of this, mate. I appreciate it. That's super cool. I think you're member number 4, possibly. So, thank you. Rick says he's ready for another jam. Let's hope it all happens soon. Yeah, I totally agree. I'd love to go play live as well with him or do another session at the shop. Actually, that's so much more fun than gigging, playing at the shop. Texas Blues Alley's got to go. Thank you for joining in, mate. I appreciate it. Do a live stream sometime. I'd love to join in in the chat here. What was I saying? Sorry. Slush Puppy said, Shane, have you ever played a guitar that has been put through a Plek machine? No, I haven't. I probably... Look, that can be cool if the frets were sort of like half-assed when they were put in. But most people who do a good job, you shouldn't really need to have that done. And how different is it at the end of the day? It's like millimeters different or micro millimeters. So I don't know. No, look, I'm sure there's a time and a place for a Plek machine, but I wouldn't go they're expensive sometimes, right? So, Greg, thank you for joining in, mate. I appreciate it. So Kevin says, did you end up buying that Gretsch 5220 you reviewed? I didn't, and I kind of still want it. This is the dilemma with that. I kind of still want it, and the one that I played, they don't have that. I had like a silver one in or something, and it was a bit on the bright side for me in terms of its visual, but maybe one day. Hey, Jamal, thank you, mate. He says, I've been fooling around with GarageBand lately trying to create a decent guitar bass drum track. Any tips on making a good track that sounds good? Yeah, so this is the trick to the drums, and this is what I do on all my tracks. You'll notice it goes from the hi-hats over to the ride cymbal. So wherever you want the track to do something, it might be that the solo gets louder or whatever, or you want to go from sort of like a rhythm part to a lead part. If you do Command T on the timeline, it will cut the drums at a specific point, and then you can click on the cymbals on the drum track instead of just the hi-hats, and it completely changes the vibe. And you can move the slider up and down to make it louder or softer, and make the drums dynamic. So start it with it low and simple, and then as you move this, there's a little rectangular box where you can drag its complexity around and volume. Move that around, and that will greatly change how the song sounds. If you just have it go on the same beat all the time, it sounds like a drum track or like a machine. But if you Control T and change it at the point your songs go somewhere, it sounds vastly different. And I always add the percussion in as well as separate tracks. So you'll hear a shaker in one side or whatever. And they're the things that really make those sound good. You know, playing bass, it's harder than it sounds sometimes. But if you're not strong at it, start with your guitar part first, and then go over to the bass after that. Hey, thanks, man. Chain Strangers, previously Super Chat didn't take. Hopefully this works. Hey, thank you, mate. Did it not work before? Did I? Sorry, I may have. Oh, maybe not. But thank you, mate. No, it did work. It looks like it worked on my side. If you want $5 back, mate, just let us know. Hey, thanks for the support. Thank you. I'm pretty sure I commented on it before, right? Yeah. Oh, well, thank you either way, mate. And if it's an issue, just let us know. Thank you. Or if it goes through more than once. So thank you, Hank. I appreciate that, mate. John says, content is way more important than what you use. Landon makes very professional-looking videos for years with a Samsung phone. Yeah, well, that's it, right? It's all about using what you've got. And the way phones are now compared to when I started, like when I started YouTube, there wasn't video cameras on phones, or if it was like little square pieces of crap, right? I can walk with this iPhone outside and it will almost look as good as my $1,000 gimbal. You know, I got one of those pro gimbals for when I film other people. And, sometimes on Guitar Search Saturdays I use them as well. Not often, but I have used it on a few. And the iPhone is like most of the way there in terms of stability. You don't get that great background separation, which is the difference between like a cheap camera and a good one. But it doesn't matter, right? Who cares? This is stuff that just... Yeah, I always say you're better off... There's so many good cameras in today's market to start a YouTube channel and get great results on any budget. There's so many good ones. And the great thing about tech, if you find a camera you like, say like a Panasonic one or a Sony, once a year goes by, they're so much cheaper. And then also, you can buy a flagship camera from 2 or 3 years ago that's still far more than you'll ever need, like an Olympus OMD EM1 Mark II. And it will get you great results. You could just use your entire channel on that camera and you'll buy it, 60, 70% cheaper than when it first came out, right? So that's the great thing about it. You can find, doing YouTube now is far easier than it's ever been. All you really need is a good computer for all the editing and the storage side of it, and lighting and some sort of sound device, whether that's a sound card or whatever it is, just to capture either your voice into the camera that way or capture the amplifiers into a computer. If you're still making guitar videos just with the phone speaker and you're taking it seriously, it's not good enough anymore, unfortunately. Start strong, and it's really easy to do that given all the great amount of tech that's out there. Hey, we've got Thrash Metal Studios here. Welcome, mate. Got a Dean dime slide on her way. Yeah, I saw your post, man. That's super cool. I saw like a photo pop up, I think, in the feed, possibly. Very cool. Very cool. I'll have to check that out once it comes in. Awesome stuff. Yeah, YouTube's one of those things. I think there's a lot of people who want to do it, and there's people who want to do it a lot who put it off for a long time and they don't. And then 2 or 3 years goes by and they're finally ready to give it a shot. But if you start somewhere, even if it's just with a phone, at least you're getting something out there. And I think the trick with it is, it's not even a trick. I just think it needs to evolve over time if you want to stand the test of time. It needs to be constantly evolving in one way or another, even for your own personal satisfaction. Or you can take the other route and just make good content with a phone, and it will work. There's plenty of players doing that out there. I think they're more like in line with being pro players who can kind of get away with that. But yeah, if you want to be like someone who demos or reviews gear or whatever, there's so much opportunity. So yeah, go for it. That was in response to BC Rich 581. Hi from Tucson, very cool. Have I played a G&L guitar? Yeah, I have. I owned one actually. I owned an ASAT Classic, which was their American Telecaster. It was great. I bought it where did I buy it? Daytona, Florida, and it was cool. I shouldn't have sold it. It was at one of those points in time where I think I needed to sell stuff to back in when I first left my job and all that kind of stuff. I was like, I got to cover costs. So I ended up flipping it. But great guitar. Yeah, one day I hope to buy one of their Blues Boy Telecasters with a humbucker neck pickup. Those things are just fantastic. There was one I played at Jerry's actually. I think it was called a Black Ice was the name of the color. Whew, so good. One from Colombia. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. It says, keep up the good reviews. Do I know anything about the artist thin line telly? Can you do a review? Yeah, okay. I don't. Not off the top of my head. I don't think I've tried one of those. I tried the TC59, and that was the only one that I think I've played, mate. So if there's another one, I haven't played it. There are some other things popping up this month. I got an email saying, hey, there's 2 guitars coming down for review if you're interested. I said, yeah, send them out. Like, I didn't even check what they were. So it may be one of those. I'm not too sure. Anthony says, what is it to be a member? So basically it gives you a couple of extra emoticons in the live streams here. Just a couple. I'm going to add more to it coming up. I also just give everyone notice of the live stream ahead of time. And yeah, just people who like to support content creators, I guess. So I just enabled it, and it's there if anyone wants to join up, but no pressure either. And same thing with the super chats. I don't ask for any of this stuff, so it's there if people want to use it. And it's not replacing Patreon, because Patreon, they get all the behind the scenes stuff and all that as well. I do a little bit on here now as well. Sometimes I'll send the same picture to both just because I can now, but a little bit of behind the scenes stuff. But I want to keep all my main content public. There's never any like members only video. I'm not going to do that kind of thing. I think, you know, everyone who supports the channel should have access to all the videos, and that's how that'll be. So it's just there if people want to join in. Do I always buy guitars from Sweetwater because you don't leave any links for online guitar stores in the US? So as mentioned in the description of the videos, the reason why those links are in there, so I do Thomann, Sweetwater, and there's another 10 Solo Music as well. These are affiliate programs. That's part of how I cover my costs as well. So it's very clearly labeled in the description at the bottom of every video. Yeah, so that's kind of how that works. I'm going to have an affiliate program hopefully coming up with an Australian company pretty soon, and I'll let people know about that. But I always link Sky Music. Anytime I borrow something from Sky Music, their link is always in the description and on screen. So I don't buy anything from Sweetwater. They won't send overseas, or they won't ship guitars overseas, because a lot of the distributors in Australia have legal agreements that they won't export our guitars to other countries. Maybe New Zealand might be the exception to that, possibly, but like Fender Australia, for example, you can't buy Fender American guitars from the US and have them sent over unless you're buying them used. There's like agreements put in place where it can't happen. And same from Guitar Center and all the other companies. You can't ask them to ship a guitar that you could buy here overseas. It just doesn't work. I bought a bass and can't play it for crap. That's from Kevin Oldman. It takes time, man. It's one of those things you gotta invest a little bit of time in, but you don't have to invest a lot of time into it to get results from it. Like, I'm not a fancy bass player, but over the years I've gotten better at it just from understanding that it's not a guitar. Like, listen to the kick, listen to the snare, find something that locks into that. Don't pay attention to the guitar part, basically. Sorry, one sec. There you go. Man, sorry, hang on one sec. I don't know what is going on with my throat today. It's just super dry. What was I reading here? I've lost the chat. Oh yeah, Thrash Metal Studio says, I started with my iPhone. Now I use a GoPro 7. Well, there you go. Had the Logitech C920. Yeah, even some webcams are really great quality. I've got a couple of GoPros as well. I don't use them on the channel that often. I have in the past. They're a really good way of getting a great quality video out. They're not great in low light, but they're yeah, the pitch quality out of those things is fantastic. Wow, a lot of questions and stuff coming through here. Thank you. Is it Zagil, possibly? Thank you, mate. He says, hey, dude, what's a good non-Fender... Dude, what's a good non-Fender Marshall... What's a good non-Fender Marshall budget-friendly amp for smooth, clean tones? Non-Fender Marshall budget amp for smooth clean tones. So I really feel like there's sort of like a misunderstanding about Marshall amps. A lot of people don't realize like they're a great clean channel. Listen to the Red Hot Chili Peppers early stuff. You know, Frusciante's playing Strat clean through a Marshall on just about everything. It sounds so good, right? I would say just you could go for anything like a Marshall DSL 20 will give you great clean tones. That amp totally rocks, and if you choose to use pedals with it, it's going to sound unreal, right? So yeah, I would say go for a Marshall DSL amp. I say that because I've had experience with all of them, and that should, I think, fit in that budget you've just given me as well. So check out the DSL 20. It's got a 12-inch speaker. It's 20 watts. You can switch it down to 10. And if you set there's like a fat boost button on there as well, or a resonance control. You can sort of turn that up and turn the treble down. It should give you some pretty great clean tones. Yeah, I think that would be about the best. You're never going to really find a Marshall that has what would be considered like a really warm tone unless you change the speakers out. A lot of them are made to sort of rock, so they need to be a little bit brighter. But it's all in the EQ settings and with the pedals that you use in combination with the guitar and all that kind of stuff. But I would say, for that price, the DSL 20 is probably the best bet, and just get the combo. I think that would be the best bet. And thank you again. Cheers. And if that's out of your budget as well, just let us know and add in the blues me, and I'll reply in the chat here once I see it pop up. John says the Artist Thin Line TC59 with a mahogany TL body instead of the ash. Most likely what they're sending you. Okay, cool. Yeah, I remember they said, oh, we've got these coming in, are you interested? This was months and months ago. I said, yeah, no problems. But yeah, I can't remember exactly what that was. Anyone a fan of the Fender Deluxe 112 amps from the 90s? They're awesome amps. I played in San Francisco with one of those. It was one of the best sounding solid state amps of all time. I did a video review of one while I was in San Francisco at my friend's place. So Ed, if you watch this, hope you're doing well. But yeah, great loud amps. And this is back when Fender, well, unlike, I'm not talking about their current Tone Master amps, but solid state amps in general, they don't put good speakers in them anymore. Not like they used to. And that Deluxe Plus 112 is a great example of a solid state amp done correctly. It's as good as the best PV Bandits out there. It's just unbelievable. So if I've missed your question here, guys, the chat moves sometimes and it's just like... Paul says, how often do I have or have your guitar set up? Is it better to get a luthier to do it? Anyone who can do any sort of tech work can generally set up guitars pretty well. It is a little hit and miss with some people, so I'd probably say ask around in your local area where people take things. I recently had a damp issue in my cupboard here, and I had to get 4 or 5 of my guitars set up, and it was just, it needed someone better than me to do it, which isn't saying much, but I'm not great at it. But I also needed some electronics fixed because I had the sort of damp got into some of the cavities, and I needed volume and tone pots replaced. It was a pain in the ass. So I ended up getting 4 guitars fixed. I'd rather have left it to someone else than tried to do it myself, because it's a lot easier to give to someone who knows what they're doing. There's just these fine tuning things that you might have to do afterwards. But if you're pretty confident on how you like your guitar set up in terms of action, or less buzz but higher action, or a little bit more buzz but lower action, you can kind of give people a good indication of what you want. I only get that done when I really need it done, and it needed to be done recently. So yeah, 4 of my guitars went in to get fixed. Where did you get the AC/DC lightning bolt? Oh yeah, I guess that's what that is. I bought it on eBay. Actually, it was like, I don't know, $8 or something, $10. It was just, I typed in LED light and it came up. I used to have some great ones. If you look at my old videos, I had a big version of that guitar one that broke. It devastated me. It took me so long to find another one, and it's like half the size. I used to have another one that was I don't know what it's called, but it was the truck. You know how trucks have the mud flaps and it's got that, like, the chick on there, that lady that's sort of like leaning back. I used to have one of those and that broke as well. They're so easy to break. But these plastic ones, like this one, it's a plastic cover. That other one's completely glass, right? So they're really easy to break. But that one, it's yes, it'll last forever. Proteus, thanks for hanging out, man. Thank you. Sorry if I missed your question there, mate. Hey, we got Aaron here as well. Welcome, mate. Padded Pedal Room, welcome, mate. He says, how you doing? Doing well, thanks. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. Hey, Jamal, thanks, mate. He says, I've been in and out of the stream after having a wonderful day with the family, so I'll watch the replay and catch the questions. I'll try and timestamp some of this after the fact. We might wrap this up in about 4 minutes, because if I want to do the timestamps, it can be brutal if I if it goes too long. I like to keep them kind of to about an hour and a half if I'm going to timestamp it. Otherwise, if you don't timestamp them, it's a pain for people to watch it back. And yeah. Hey, we got is it Angel? Is that how you pronounce the name? Or yeah, anyway, Martinez, welcome, mate. He says, hi, Shane from New York. Sorry if my brain's not working properly. I might have just mispronounced that, but welcome, mate. Just picked up a 70s PV tube 6x10 combo for $350 US. Pretty badass. Kind of sounds like a Tweed. Very cool. I mean, 610s, man. I didn't even know they had an amp like that. Their 410 combo, the Classic 50, is one of the best sounding amps I've ever heard, but you can't move them. They're so heavy. Some of the best blues tone I've ever heard was with one of those. It was unbelievable. Hey, Michael Buncher, thanks, man. Did I have any tuning issues with my American Original Strat? I was thinking of changing the saddles to ones with grooves. No. I would say if you are having problems with it, get the nut looked at. If any of your strings ping when you go to tune up, if you hear that kind of noise, it means the nut needs to be filed slightly. That's usually the problem. It could be also that if the tremolo's, my trem's not floating, right? So the way that I have mine set up is it doesn't move when I bend my strings unless I want to use the tremolo. Then it will move. I think leaving any Strat tremolo floating can sometimes be a bit of a pain in the ass. But no, my Strat's been like super reliable. I would also double check to see if you're having any issues with the way that I'm not saying you don't know what you're doing either, man. I'm just giving you options in case, but just make sure I've done a video on how to tune guitars up with those particular tuners. And you kind of put the thing down, turn it around, and sort of pull down on it and then tune it up, and that seems to work really well. So, have I tried the Headrush multi-effects processor? I have. It's good. It's a bit over the top for me. Like, I think there's an audience for those kind of things, and it isn't me. But I got a good friend of mine who I borrowed that off for the video, Dom, and he gets a killer sound out of it through the PA system. But there's been a time where that didn't work for him when we were playing live, and it was a nightmare for him. He's like, he didn't know what had happened. There's like too many knobs and dials on there. So, I think all of those things are pretty much even in terms of tone. It just comes down to the functionality of them. And if it's something that you want to use to record with or play into a PA system, it'll do all of that for you, but you've got to spend the time with it to make sure that you know exactly what's going on. Because if you only know the basics and something's not doing what you want, it's like, how do I fix this really quickly? So you've got to get to that point with it. So I think the Headrush is one of the better ones out there. Sonia says, please everybody hit the like button. Thank you, Sonia. We got 100. Is that right? 174 people here. Far out. Welcome everybody. Eric B says, question, what is the order of dialing in your sound on the DSL-40? How do I use the preamp EQ versus the power amp EQ? Presence and resonance. Oh, so you want to get a crunch channel at bedroom volume. So the first thing I would do is get the amp onto... The thing with the DSLs, right? You got to have the master volumes all the way up. So run the masters on 10 or whatever, 12, whatever they go up to on these amps. So both of the two far right controls need to be all the way up to get the best sound. If you turn them down, it sounds not very good. And then work from the channel volume. That would be my suggestion. And just try to dial in a sound from there, because realistically, I've said this before, that amp sounds best with the masters all the way up and the volumes from about 11 o'clock onwards, right? The gain and the volume. When it comes to the resonant control, and any guitar and any amplifier, there's no like best settings for them, right? It's what works best in the room with whatever you're playing and what works for your ear. The way I've got mine, I usually run the resonance up a little more and the presence down. But I've also got a different speaker in mine too. Mine's the Texas Heat. So it gives me a very different sound. It takes out a lot more top end than what the original what was it called? A V-type speaker, which are great for different types of tones. But I wanted more of a rolled out high end, and that's what that speaker gave me. So yeah, just experiment by turning the master volumes up and running it on 20 watts, and then trying to dial in a good tone at the volume you can get. This is the thing, it's sometimes harder to get great tones directly out of an amp like that at lower volumes unless you're using pedals. If you've got an overdrive, you can do it. I did a video on that actually, getting great tones at any volume, and that was by using pedals to bring the output volume of the amp back down with the volume control that's built into the pedals. So you can try that as well. Richard says, hey Shane, I just started jamming with some country players as the chat moved. Here we go. I've never played country. Any advice for trying to learn a new genre? Yeah, I mean, country players are some of the best, man. Them and like the jazz guys and you know, some of the metal guys. It's just a different sort of flow and mindset. If you're playing blues, I mean, I'm not a country player at all. I know a couple of hack country licks, and that's about it. It's tough. Yeah, I would say, again, wanting to learn a new style of music's all about finding someone that inspires you to want to learn, and then just try to find as many licks in there as you can and try to work out the approach, because that's what it's all about. It's about trying to keep it, you know, I could give you the easy way, just play all the minor pentatonic licks 3 frets back, but that doesn't work with country a lot of the time because it doesn't sound right. So yeah, you've got to sort of play through the chords. And yeah, I'm not the right guy to really ask about great country chops. I butcher that sort of stuff. I just know enough to get me through a 12-bar country blues sort of shuffle. Gretsch Zeppelin says, what's your alternative to Telecaster video for the third time? Still undecided, but leaning towards a Squier Classic 5. They're great, man. They're really great. If they weren't, I wouldn't have put it in the list. I've owned one as well. I purchased the 60s one many years ago. It was awesome. All right, we might wrap this up. I'll just quickly... Sean says, I get option paralysis with the HX systems and other similar things. I end up playing with the knobs more than playing. Yeah, that's why I stopped buying like conventional digital modeling amps. Unless it's for practice use, I don't want to have to worry about it anymore. That's where my head is at as well. I think like, a lot of people don't understand what the Tone Master is. They're designed for people that play live, or people like me who don't want to fiddle with stuff. You just want to plug in and play. You don't want a million different effects. You don't need 8 different channels. And that's what they've tried to do. Yeah, I much prefer the simplicity approach now. It's far less fiddly. Like anytime it's like when you get a phone or whatever and you're fiddling through all the options, looking at all the settings, and then, or you can just buy one that does, you know, what you want it to do, and you don't have to worry about it too much. That's kind of how I feel about guitar gear. It's just like, let me plug in and forget about all the extra options. There's time and place for those other amps as well, especially if you're learning and you want to work out what it is you really love. But once you live on, say, the deluxe reverb setting and reverb, and you don't use much else, then that's your setup when you go buy an actual like tube amp sort of thing. So yeah, I totally agree. I'm not a huge fan of modeling amps like I used to be anymore. I feel like they've got their place for sort of fiddling around at home, but if you want to actually practice, they can almost have the opposite effect. That's why I wasn't a big fan of Fender putting phone apps on their amps, or making you use your phone app to adjust the amplifier. I felt like it's just a distraction, you know, like, I don't know. Nick says, hi Shane, looking at the Joyo Momix, how would I play a backing track from my phone and record too? Need two phones. Hang on. Looking at the Joyo Momix, how would I play a backing... Oh, okay, so you'd use something like GarageBand, where you can play it back in, like on a timeline, on an actual audio DAW, and then hit record on the second track. That's how I did that entire intro track. So I used GarageBand on my phone to record each layer of music, and I was listening to it back at the same time. So you got headphones, you can listen that way, or run it out to your studio monitors. But yeah, if your phone doesn't have some sort of like multi-track audio, it sounds crazy talking about that. If your phone doesn't have it, you can probably find an app that'll let you do it. All right, Michael Turner, thank you, mate. He says, thanks, Shane. Love the vids. No worries at all. Just bought a Blues Junior. Watched your video of yours replacing the speaker. Did I ever get a drill or driver power drill? I do own one now, but it's made for actual like high powered drilling. It's not made for, it's like one of those ones with a handle as well. So no is the quick answer to that. Although I do have a power drill, I don't use it for unscrewing amps. I should get a battery powered one, but I don't do it often enough to sort of warrant it. So I'm still doing it the old school way. Yeah, John says, unless you're in a cover band that needs to copy tones for songs, you just need to find your own tone, play with your own sound. Yeah, that's exactly it. And you'll find, like, over the course of 10 years, or even 15, once you find your sound, you can go through 10 or 15 amps. If you did, hypothetically, like I may have, your sound doesn't change that much. And this is the interesting thing. It gives you a different vibe on stage, but it doesn't necessarily change that much because you're trying to dial in the sound in here. It all starts from knowing the kind of sound that you want to get. And then any amp, you can kind of work with any amp to get the sound that you want, or most effects pedals, all that kind of stuff. It's all your fault, guys. I'm going to order one tonight. That's from Gretsch Zeppelin. Very cool, mate. Awesome stuff. Sean said, when I was younger, I tried to record music with my phone. I was a bit ahead of my time. Yeah, I would have struggled as well back then, mate. It's funny to think about, like, how far some of this stuff has come. I was talking to, who was I talking to the other night? I can't remember. I was talking to someone about cameras. Like, all the videos I used to shoot when I was a kid, like on either the big VHS camcorders, and then I ended up having like a tape one that was smaller, and how crap the quality was. Like that story about Chicago, right? I put up, someone says, oh, why is the video quality so bad? I'm like, that's 2006 or 8, sorry. So it's like, there wasn't 4K back then. There wasn't HD. It was just crap. So, yeah, it's sort of like, that's how far stuff's come. I would have loved to have had even a camera half as good as this when I was a kid. It would have been, I reckon, yeah, I feel so, like, in a good way, like, envious of today's generation. They can go get anything and it will work so much better than when we were kids. I used to have to transfer tapes to, like, even in the early 2000s, it was a pain to transfer video from a DV tape, like a camcorder. I had a JVC and a Sony, like over the course of a couple of years, to the computer. It was a pain in the ass. And then all of a sudden we had SD cards, and I ended up getting another camera, a Canon one. And that was like, that's when right around the same time YouTube started. So getting footage to the computer was infinitely easier. Yeah, I don't miss the old days of analog at all. Steve from Boston's here. Welcome, man. Very cool. Hey, I loved your headstockless Harley Benton video. That neck on that guitar looks amazing, mate. So yeah, 240p. Yeah, that man, 240. Yeah, I mean, Steve's a guy I can blame for wanting to upgrade my camera equipment. Like I was using camcorders for years, and I found out he was using I don't know if he's still using it now, but a Panasonic G85, and I was like, man, the picture quality, it was all like instant. Like over the years I've been watching his channel, but right before we actually started chatting, I've been watching his channel for a long time, and I was like, what changed? Like, it looks amazing. And that was my insight into, oh, okay, so what's a prime lens? I got him to blame for a lot of that. That Chris Stapleton amp was awesome. My dad just picked one up. It's killer. Mate, that amp is so good. It is so good. Like, Rick keeps pestering me to buy it. It sold, actually. It sold at midnight the night that video went up. It had sold, and I think it was on hold. Right as I took it back, someone bought it, and that didn't work out. And then the video went live, and then they sold it right after then. So that amp is so good. The thing with that is, especially to get that tone, you got to turn it up, and that's something that, yeah, you've got to experience that. That tremolo circuit, whew, man. 240p. That was back in the day, man. In my day, we didn't have P's. Yeah, G85, yeah. Super cool. I'll see if there's any last questions here. Mustang 3 version 2 forever of the 100 presets. How many were you really in love with? I didn't use any of the presets. I made my own. You can download the whole lot of them at my website now. I've got the whole archive on guitarpedaldemos.com, so you can go check that out. I had a series of videos about, I called it Mustang Monday, and Fender ripped that off. But anyway, yeah, that was basically like all my custom presets from listening to, trying to replicate Tommy Castro's tone and Knopfler's tone and all these other dudes. So that's kind of, I loved making my own, and that was part of the beauty of that amp, is they sounded great as well. They really did. Fender Tweed twin reissue and attenuator equals bedroom friendly setup. Well, there you go. I haven't tried that with an attenuator before, but yeah. All right, guys, we might wrap this up. We've been going an hour and 42 minutes. So thank you, everyone, for the support. Thanks for the super chats and a new channel member as well. Appreciate it. We've got Hank, he's part of the In the Blues crew. Appreciate that. And yeah, thanks for all, everybody hanging out here and all the questions. And if I missed it, I didn't miss your question on purpose. Sometimes the chat just moves, and it's, yeah, it's hard to find what the hell's happening. But I'm gonna go get some lunch, and we're gonna probably do another one of these in about a week and a half or 2 weeks or something like that. I like this time of the day, so we might do it around the same time. Something is reflecting on your neck. Yeah, that's called the sun. It's coming through the window. The sunshine out there today. What's going on? All right, guys, ladies, gentlemen, take it easy, and we'll catch you on the next video will be up in probably a couple of days' time. I'll try and timestamp this a little bit later today, so hang in there if you want to watch the replay. I do that manually. It's a huge pain in the ass, but it seems to help. All right, everybody, take care. I'll catch you soon. How do we do this again? Oh, yeah, over here. See ya.